All right, fellas. Well, hey, welcome back to the tent. A little hard to see there. Get this thing. We got the tent all set up. We're not outside. We're in the second floor of the underground bunker treehouse. But we're going to talk about the sleep system inside the tent, so you can stay kind of warm. This is a bit of a big bag. This is the bag that I use when I go car camping, and it's a giant duffel. And a lot of people say, "Crazy Uncle Damien, that sure is a lot of crap. What are you doing with such a huge bag?" But I think you're going to kind of learn. All in one is kind of nice. Instead of having this and that, I got that giant bag, and I got a tent, and sometimes a tarp to put the tent on. But between those two, that's my living quarters. That bag and this tent. I might have another bag, have some food in there, something like that. But hey, let's crawl in. Let's learn about this. All right. Hey, look at that. Now you can see me. So one and done. What I like to start out with is the tent. Now I've got a silk floor. It's a bathtub floor tent, but it's not a tarp floor. It's not anything real thick. So a lot of times I'll put down a tarp on the ground to keep this kind of cleaner. If there's something sharp that I kind of miss, a rock or a pine cone or a root or something like that, I really don't want to poke a hole in this. That way, if water does come in, I want it to run under and around and not get up in. So sometimes I'll put down a tarp or something like that. I do happen to have, look at that, magic. Instead of a tarp, I've been using this a couple of years now. It's billboard vinyl. It's along the side of the highway, the big billboards. They don't paint those anymore, and they don't strip. They print out these huge vinyl sheets, and that's the ad. And it goes up for as long as it does. Whenever it comes down, a lot of times they don't have any use for it. And these things are huge. They could be 12 by 25 by 30 feet, 14 feet tall, and just the toughness to it, the thickness. It's a really cool piece if you can get a hold of some. Talk to people that do billboards or install and remove or maintain billboards. A lot of times you can pick up a pretty good sizable sheet of this pretty cheap. So it works great under the tent. Keep the tent on top of it. Keep it safe. You got a heck of an investment here. So there's that. Inside the tent, let's open up the old giant bag and see what it is. I usually always start with the old Reflectix. Now we've got a video out there where I kind of yell at you a little bit about this stuff, but what's great about this is not just the insulating factor, but it's also a bit of padding. It's a little bit of protection for your tent. If you Hey, watch your ears. You know I'm not headphone friendly. It does a few things that Reflectix inside the tent. For one, if you're kneeling on the tent floor, you can kind of get on it, and it's a little bit of insulation from the cold ground. It's a little bit of protection. If you use a cot, the cot feet won't push down on the tent floor and ruin your tent, poke a hole in it. It'll do a little protection there. And then, as always, as we always know, it just stops that cold from radiating up through. It just does a fantastic job. So I cut a piece big enough to fit in the tent for a sleeping bag to be. I'm not using a cot today. We'll do another video about a couple cots we have. Generally, after that, I'll put down a sleeping bag. And this is nothing new to anybody who's been camping. It's a sleeping bag, big deal. Chris, you know, why do you have to show us? Because it's part of the system. Love those compression bags, but sometimes they're a bit to get open. Now myself, I rock one of these old school OD green mummy bags. They're not nearly as mummified as a lot of the modern day stuff. It's not nearly as light. It's not nearly as space age technology, but I got a lot of time in this thing, and it has always done me very well. But a lot of times, it's kind of rare for me to actually get in this bag. I use it as padding. I don't really carry a Z mat or air mattress or anything else like that. This is usually enough of a mattress for me. So I've got the something under the tent stopping some of the cold. I've got the Reflectix really stopping the cold. Now I've got some airspace, some insulation, some padding to lay on. Usually on top of that, and I think you guys have seen this one in a blanket video. Let's see if it comes out of the bag a little easier. Now, if you thought this was going to be a quick little short video, like everybody needs these 7-minute videos, you know it's not. But you know they're worth it in the end. The information that I'm putting out there. So there we go. We've got the amazing camping blanket that my daughter made for me years ago. It's a double layer of fleece. It's orange on one side, camo on the other, and there's no sewing. She just cuts it and ties it together. And she made this extra long and a little wider. I'm a little taller than the average guy, who's a little shorter than me. And usually in a summertime, late spring, early fall, that's enough. If you really can mitigate the cold coming up at you, then it's about the heat coming down in you. And this blanket really usually just does it for me incredibly. If it starts to get a little cold, well, I open up, I get inside. Now I've got a sleeping bag and a blanket on top of me. Really works out well. A couple other things in here. I always have, well, I do have a bit of a, it's one of the original kind of thicker emergency blankets. It's not the little cheap ones. It's got a little power to it. And if it really starts to drop, I use this in the thinking of a house. You have an outside hard shell, and then some insulation, and then some drywall, and then you're in a bed and sleep and things like that. So I put this over top of that, so I'll be in the sleeping bag, super duper camping blanket, and then I put the shell over top to kind of hold that heat in between those layers. It's been kind of rare if I've ever had to use that, but it doesn't really weigh much. It really doesn't take much bag space. And it's a great piece of insurance to have in there. Always in the bottom of the bag, I usually have some hand warmers. And these are the super warmer, super body warmer size. I also carry the little ones that are all just pocket size. It's a pack of 2. I like them in quantities of 2. What I'll do with the sleeping bag is as soon as I start getting ready for bed, I'll crack one of these open it up, give it a shake, and throw it down in the toe box of the sleeping bag. And I'll open another one up, and I don't put it all the way up in the head. I put it kind of where my shoulder's going to lie. Middle of the night, if your toes start to get a little cold, you'll reach around and find that thing, kind of get it between your feet. Keeps the toe of, that's usually the cold spots, is the toe and the shoulder where you're laying is usually where you get cold. Middle of the night, if it gets cold, up around, you'll start feeling around and you'll find it, be able to scrunch in with it. So I always keep a couple hand warmers in there to heat the space there. Naturally, you should always have a toque. Always have a toque. Matter of fact, I think I threw a new toque in. Yeah, you did, yeah. They start to get a little stretched out over time. Oh, look, they match. It's like camouflage. What I like about having a toque is that a lot of heat is lost off the top of your head. I don't like to put my face and everything down inside there. I like to have my head out. So I'll wear a toque if it's still daylight when I go to bed, or if I want to sleep in a little bit, you can pull that guy right down over your eyeballs and get a little extra sleep, a little warmer. Kind of nice. And naturally, a couple things, other things in the bag. Oh, the script. Gotta have the script. I prepare these videos like you can't believe, so that maybe I just like wasting your time. So I talked about having a rag. This is an old tea towel that doesn't belong in where Big Boss makes the meals anymore. And it's great if you come in from the wet to the cold, or maybe your feet are soaking wet all day long in these soaking wet boots. You get them socks off, dry your feet off, get them good and dry, and then a nice big heavy pair of wool socks. I don't ever try to cram these into boots. These are just for warm toes, warm feet. If you have cold, wet feet all day long, get them good and dry. Get them in a nice, clean pair of socks. You feel like $1,000,000. We've got a headlamp in there. Even though I might be walking around with a headlamp all night, I still have this one that's in that bag. No matter what happens, getting ready to go on that trip, I can grab my tent, whatever tent I happen to be using, whatever shell is going to be my home, and then this bag. Well, in this bag, I know I always have a rag. I always have some clean, warm socks, warm rest, and to be able to see also in case my headlight goes out of batteries or gets wet or lost or I forget it. Or if I just forget it, I know I always have though. This isn't the greatest one in the world. It's one of those Energizer ones. I really believe they're very good. The different colors are the different powers of lumen that they put out. The other thing that I came up with a couple years ago. Also the Reflectix. Boy, you can see when you peel that back, it with a headlight on, it just lights the world up because of the reflection. And the same thing with the Super camping blanket. I know if I turn that orange side up, boy, it really brightens up the whole world in here. Here's one of the last pieces of this puzzle that I came across a couple of years ago, and man, what a difference in my sleep. For the longest time, that was the pillow. You slept on the pillow, and if you wanted to get the cool side of the pillow, well, there you go. But I saw a video of a guy who does a lot of like the AT and the PCT, Darwin, and he kind of turned me on to pillows. This is a Sea to Summit. I'm not selling anything for anybody, but I kind of really like them. It only takes 4 or 5 breaths to blow it up. It's kind of kidney shaped. It's got kind of a soft side. The whole thing is kind of a soft, but it has a softer side. And when it blows up, you end up with a real live pillow that kind of fills that space between shoulder and head on the ground. And it also is small enough that it will fit inside the sleeping bag, so it won't fall out and roll around at night. It kind of stays in the head of the sleeping bag. The amount of the difference it makes in your quality of sleep while you're out there. You just wake up feeling like $1,000,000. And what really, really impressed me and made me continue to always have this in the bag was once you do get it all crammed back in the bag, I mean, that's it. And me, I love to say it weighs nothing. It does have a little bit of weight. If you were backpacking, this might be a real luxury item. But I tell you what, in this home, away from home, it just really makes a difference for my sleep. Sometimes I will use a cot, get me up off the ground if I know it's going to be rocky. And if you do use a cot, a lot of times if it's wintertime, I'll take off that heavy coat that I've been wearing all day. And what do you do with it? If you slide it underneath that cot, now you have another pillow of insulative air that will, and I've really noticed when it's not there. If I am sleeping middle of the night, I got to go use the facilities, put on that coat, leave the tent, go do the thing, come on back, take that coat off, throw it on the side, don't remember to put it back under. Boy, I wake up, I don't know why it's so, I forgot to put that insulation back underneath that cot. Makes a huge difference. Another thing that you can do that is a pretty inexpensive way, the old military foam mats. A lot of times at Army and Navy surplus stores, things like that, you can pick these up for like $5, usually 10 or under. They are pretty light, but they're not as compact as a lot of things. In closing, I like this. Sometimes I'll put the Reflectix down and put this on the cot and then put all this stuff on top of the cot. Just another insulative layer, maybe a little stiffer layer. kind of nice to have. But like I was going to say, in closing, one of the big things that I see so many, they demand you must have an air mattress, and I'm gonna tell you, go for it. I'm not gonna tell you what to do or not to do. You could do, I'm just giving you neighborly, crazy Uncle Damien suggestions. But if it is chilly, if it's fall and it's cool, maybe you can see your breath at night. You do not want to use an air mattress. Everybody believes the air mattress will get you off the ground, which it does. It gets you off the ground. But now you have a volume of air. And usually the people that scream air mattress have like these queen size air mattresses. You have this huge volume of air that needs to be a temperature. And how do you determine that temperature? Is it you on top of the air? Well, your heat is all going up. So you're not heating that air. Well, this thing is sitting on the ground. Now, if you're not using something to mitigate that cold, sorry about your ears, Stan. If you're not using something to mitigate that cold coming up through, if you just have a tarp and the tent and then the bottom of your air mattress, which is a thing of vinyl, it's got something there, that cold will radiate straight up because Mama Earth is gonna make that air her temperature, not your temperature. And you will just freeze. You will be miserable. And you'll come up with all these additional things. I need a water bottle. I need a 0-degree sleeping bag. I need this. I need it. No, you need to stop sleeping on freezing cold air. And I proved that number of years ago. I did have a gentleman who was out camping with us, and I heard him blowing out that air mattress. And I said, you might regret that, but it's up to you. Next morning, boy, he just was stoved up, stiffed up. Yeah, he just froze. I explained how that all worked. I said, the best idea is, boy, let the air out of that thing. Now you'll have 2 more pieces of vinyl under you, but no air. And I bet you'll stay a little warmer. And it was actually colder that second night. It was a Friday night, Saturday night type of thing. And when he got up next day, he said, I can't believe the difference that made. I said, yeah. So they do have some air mattresses, air pads that have an insulation layer, but you're still fighting that cold. Maybe if you put that mattress under something that mitigates that cold, but you still are having a big layer of cold to fight. And I personally have never had an air mattress that my shoulder didn't go just straight down to the ground. I roll around. I'm a side sleeper and a front sleeper. They've never worked out. And boy, I've tried. I've spent a lot of money on a lot of them. And I finally realized that I can tough it up and just sleep on the ground. Fellas, I think that's about all we got in the tent. As always, every day you learn or you teach. On a good day, you do both.